Cheyenne, pronounced Cheyenne or Cheyenne, is not just another city on the map. It is the capital and largest city of Wyoming, a place where the past still lingers in the air. At the 2020 census, over 65,000 people called it home, with the surrounding metropolitan area reaching more than 100,000. Yet behind these modern numbers lies a story rooted in mystery, resilience, and transformation. The city was born in 1867, carved out of the Dakota Territory at a critical junction along the Union Pacific Railroad. But its name carries deeper weight. It was chosen to honor the Cheyenne people, a powerful native nation whose legacy still shadows the region. Cheyenne's lifeblood has always been tied to its role as a crossroads. Government, transportation, and the military, especially the presence of Francis E. Warren Air Force Base, shaped its destiny. Today, new forces rise in the form of data centers and renewable energy, but the echoes of its beginnings remain impossible to ignore. Cultural institutions like the Wyoming State Museum and the Cheyenne Frontier Days Old West Museum preserve fragments of this layered past. Each summer, the city transforms during the legendary Cheyenne Frontier Days, a rodeo and festival that feels less like entertainment and more like a ritual calling back the spirit of the Old West. Cheyenne stands at the northern edge of the southern Rocky Mountain front, a land where history refuses to fade. To walk its streets is to step into a living mystery, one where railroads, warriors, pioneers, and modern visionaries have all left their mark. Cheyenne history, the rise of the magic city of the plains. The year was 1867. On July 4th, amid the heat of summer and the promise of expansion, Grenville M. Dodge of the Union Pacific Railroad announced the birth of a townsite. It was to be the railroad's mountain headquarters, placed beside a bridge across Crow Creek in the Dakota Territory. At the very same celebration, Major General Christopher C. Auger revealed another secret. The U.S. Army would establish a fort nearby to protect the railroad's advance. The very next day, July 5th, the Union Pacific platted its townsite at Crow Creek Crossing. But the name they chose carried an ancient weight, Cheyenne, after the powerful native nation whose presence stretched across the Great Plains. Within weeks, the town was incorporated, and by August 10, 1867, H.M. Hook had been elected its first mayor. Then came the iron rails. On November 13, 1867, the tracks of the Union Pacific Railroad reached Cheyenne. The following day, the first train roared into town. Almost overnight, the settlement swelled with life, earning its legendary title, the Magic City of the Plains. But Cheyenne's story is not only about railroads and settlers, it is also one of forts, power, and transformation. On September 8, 1867, the U.S. Army founded Fort D.A. Russell, named for Brigadier General David Allen Russell. What began as a cavalry encampment soon grew into a permanent stronghold. In 1930, the fort took a new name, Fort Francis E. Warren, honoring Wyoming's first governor. By 1949, it became Francis E. Warren Air Force Base, a bastion of military power that still looms over Cheyenne today. The city's destiny deepened further in 1868, when the United States created the territory of Wyoming. Just a year later, on May 7, 1869, Governor John Allen Campbell arrived in Cheyenne, naming it the temporary capital. It would never lose that title. Cheyenne remains Wyoming's one and only capital. And then, on December 10, 1869, something remarkable happened. The very first session of the Wyoming Territorial Legislature met in Cheyenne. That day they passed two acts, one to reincorporate the city, and another that changed history forever. Wyoming became the first state or territory in the United States to grant women the right to vote. Cheyenne's history is not a simple tale of railroads and politics. It is a story of speed, ambition, and mysteries that reshaped the American West. From its explosive birth as the magic city of the plains, to its role as a symbol of progress and power, Cheyenne's past still whispers through the winds of Wyoming. Cheyenne history, from statehood to the skies. On July 10, 1890, the territory of Wyoming crossed a threshold. It was admitted to the Union as the 44th state. At its heart stood Cheyenne, chosen as the state capital, a city that had already become a crossroads of power and progress. Rising above the plains, the Wyoming state capitol was constructed between 1886 and 1890, its stately presence completed with further enhancements in 1917. It became more than a building, it was a monument to the ambitions of a young state. But Cheyenne's history did not stop at politics. In 1920, the city opened a gateway to the skies, the Cheyenne Regional Airport. At first it served a simple purpose, a stop for airmail planes. Yet within years, it became a critical hub for both civil and military aviation. The legendary DC-3s touched down here as did countless military aircraft. During the dark years of World War II, Cheyenne's airfield transformed into something far greater. Hundreds of B-17 Flying Fortresses, B-24 Liberators, and PBY Catalinas were outfitted and upgraded on its grounds. The city's skies echoed with the engines of war machines destined to shape the fate of nations. Today, the Cheyenne Regional Airport continues to serve both civilian and military needs, standing as a high-altitude testbed for modern aircraft. Its story, like the city itself, is one of transformation, an enduring reminder that Cheyenne has always been a place where history meets the frontier of possibility. Cheyenne's history is far more than a list of dates. It is a saga of ambition, resilience, and mystery, stretching from the rails to the skies. If you enjoyed exploring this chapter of Cheyenne history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more untold stories of the past, History Love is your go-to channel for uncovering the mysteries that shaped our world.